Have you ever reached a moment in life where you felt completely empty inside? A moment where you smiled in front of everyone around you, but deep inside your heart was silently breaking. Maybe you laughed with friends, posted pictures online, tried to act normal in front of family, but when you were finally alone at night, the truth came out. The pressure, the fear, the anxiety, the overthinking, the exhaustion, it all became too heavy. There are people listening to this right now who are tired in a way sleep cannot fix. Your body may be resting, but your mind never stops running. You wake up with stress. You sleep with stress. You carry silent battles nobody knows about. And sometimes you wonder if anybody truly understands your pain. But listen carefully today, Jesus understands. He sees every hidden tear, every silent prayer, every sleepless night, every heartbreak, every fear you carry deep inside your soul. And maybe this message reached you today because God wanted to remind you of something important. Your story is not over yet. Life can become incredibly difficult sometimes. There are moments where everything feels like it is falling apart at the same time. Problems come from every direction. Financial stress, family pressure, relationship pain, mental exhaustion, fear about the future, disappointment from people you trusted, and battles inside your own mind. Sometimes you try so hard to stay strong that you forget how tired you really are. People look at you and think you are okay because you learned how to hide your pain behind a smile. But Jesus sees the truth inside your heart. He knows the battles you never talk about. He knows the moments where you almost gave up completely. And I want you to understand something today. Just because life feels difficult right now does not mean God has abandoned you. Many people believe that pain means God is absent, but the Bible shows us something completely different. Jesus himself suffered. He was betrayed by people he loved. He was rejected, mocked, insulted, and misunderstood. He experienced loneliness. He experienced deep emotional pain. So when you suffer, Jesus understands your pain more than anyone else ever could. The Son of God himself walked through suffering. That means your difficult season is not proof that God has left you. Sometimes, the strongest people are created during the hardest seasons of life. Think about this carefully. Gold is purified in fire. Diamonds are created under pressure. Trees become stronger during storms because their roots grow deeper. And in the same way, difficult seasons often build strength inside people that comfort never could. Right now you may feel broken, but maybe God is building something powerful inside you. Maybe your current struggle is preparing you for a future blessing you cannot yet understand. One day you may look back at this painful season and realize that what almost destroyed you actually transformed you into a stronger, wiser, more faithful person. One of the biggest reasons people lose peace today is overthinking. The human mind can become its own prison when fear takes control. People spend hours worrying about things that have not even happened yet. They imagine failure before they even try. They think about worst-case scenarios constantly. What if my future fails? What if nobody supports me? What if I lose everything? What if I'm not good enough? And slowly fear begins controlling every decision. But listen carefully. Fear grows when we trust problems more than we trust God. Faith means believing that even when life looks impossible, God can still make a way. Jesus said, "Do not worry about tomorrow." Why? Because tomorrow already belongs to God. Yet many people pray once and then spend the entire day panicking. They ask God for peace, but continue feeding their minds with fear. They ask God for guidance, but continue listening to negativity. Today, I want you to stop carrying burdens that are crushing your soul. Some battles are not yours to fight alone. Leave them in God's hands. Because when God fights for you, no enemy can stop his plan for your life. There are people listening right now who feel ashamed of their past. You carry regrets that nobody else knows about. Maybe you made mistakes you deeply regret. Maybe you trusted the wrong people. Maybe you wasted years of your life. Maybe you hurt someone. Maybe someone hurt you. Maybe you fell into addictions, toxic habits, anger, lust, jealousy, or destructive behavior, and now guilt follows you everywhere. Deep inside you think, maybe God cannot forgive someone like me. But that is exactly the lie the enemy wants you to believe. Jesus did not come for perfect people. He came for broken people. He came for sinners. He came for people who lost their way. He came for people who thought they were too far gone. The enemy wants you trapped in shame because shame keeps you away from God. But Jesus offers forgiveness, restoration, healing, and a new beginning. Your mistakes may explain part of your story, but they do not determine your destiny. God's mercy is greater than your failures. Look at Peter. He denied Jesus 3 times, yet Jesus still restored him. Look at Paul. Before becoming one of the greatest apostles, he persecuted Christians, yet God transformed his life completely. Look at the thief on the cross beside Jesus. Even in his final moments, Jesus showed him mercy. So never believe the lie that your past is too ugly for God's grace. God specializes in restoring broken people. Sometimes people hate themselves because of who they used to be. They replay old mistakes in their minds every single day. But listen carefully. If God has forgiven you, stop punishing yourself for your past. The enemy wants you stuck looking backward because he knows you cannot move forward while chained to guilt. But Jesus wants you free. He wants you healed. He wants you to understand that your identity is not your mistakes. Your identity is that you are loved by God. One of the most painful things in life is betrayal. Some of the deepest wounds come from people we trusted the most. Maybe someone promised to stay forever but left. Maybe someone lied to you, cheated on you, abandoned you, or used your kindness against you. And now you struggle to trust anyone again. Betrayal changes people. It makes hearts colder. It creates fear. It creates emotional walls. But remember this carefully. People may fail you, but Jesus never will. Humans are imperfect. People change. Feelings change. Loyalty changes. But God's love remains constant. Even when everybody walks away, Jesus stays beside you. Even when nobody understands your pain, God still sees your heart. Some people listening to this feel lonely right now. Maybe you are surrounded by people, but still feel emotionally alone. Maybe nobody truly understands the battles happening inside your mind. But loneliness becomes dangerous only when you forget God is with you. Sometimes God allows loneliness because he wants your attention. In a noisy world filled with distractions, loneliness can become the place where your relationship with God grows stronger. Moses spent years alone in the wilderness before leading a nation. David spent lonely seasons as a shepherd before becoming king. Jesus himself often went alone to pray. So do not waste your lonely seasons. Use them to become spiritually stronger. Many people today are emotionally exhausted because they constantly compare their lives to others. Social media makes this even worse. People scroll online seeing everybody else's success, relationships, money, beauty, vacations, achievements, and happiness, and slowly they begin feeling like failures. They start believing they are behind in life. But understand this carefully. Social media often shows highlights, not reality. Many people smiling online are secretly broken offline. God did not create you to copy someone else's journey. Your life has its own timing. Your blessings have their own timing. Your purpose is unique. Stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Some people bloom early, some bloom later. But flowers do not compete with each other. They simply bloom in their own season. Maybe right now you feel like life is moving too slowly. Maybe you prayed for opportunities that never came. Maybe you worked hard and still did not see results. Maybe you feel stuck while everybody else moves forward. But delayed does not mean denied. God's timing is different from human timing. Sometimes what feels like delay is actually preparation. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He had dreams from God, but before those dreams became reality, he experienced betrayal, slavery, false accusations, and prison. Imagine how confused he must have felt. Imagine praying for help while sitting in prison for years, but God was still working behind the scenes. Every painful season was preparing Joseph for his future purpose. And eventually, the same man forgotten in prison became one of the most powerful leaders in Egypt. Maybe your life feels painful right now because you are still in the middle of the process. Don't judge your future based on your current season. God is still writing your story. Fear stops many people from fulfilling their purpose. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of embarrassment, fear of what people will think. So instead of chasing their dreams, they stay stuck inside comfort zones, but nothing extraordinary happens inside comfort zones. Faith requires movement. Noah built the ark before rain came. Abraham left his home before knowing his destination. Peter stepped out of the boat before walking on water. Faith means moving even when you do not have all the answers. Some people wait their entire lives trying to become fearless before taking action. But courage is not the absence of fear. Courage means moving forward despite fear. If God placed a dream inside your heart, stop doubting yourself so much. You are more capable than you realize because God is with you. There are people listening right now who are mentally exhausted. Anxiety attacks your thoughts daily. Your mind constantly jumps from one fear to another. You struggle to feel peace. Sometimes you cannot even explain what is wrong because the heaviness inside feels impossible to describe. Mental battles are real. Emotional pain is real. And many people silently suffer while pretending everything is okay. But listen carefully, your mental struggles do not make you weak. Even strong people fight invisible battles. Elijah, one of the greatest prophets in the Bible, once became so emotionally exhausted that he asked God to take his life. David often cried out to God in emotional pain. Job experienced deep suffering and confusion, yet God stayed with them through every battle. Sometimes healing takes time, sometimes God heals instantly, and sometimes he heals slowly while teaching you dependence on him, but never lose hope. Darkness does not last forever. Storms always pass eventually. Healing may take longer than you expected, but God has not forgotten you. Many people also struggle financially today. Bills increase. Opportunities feel limited. Pressure grows heavier every month. Sometimes financial stress steals peace from entire families. People begin feeling hopeless because they do not know how things will improve. But remember this carefully, God is still a provider. The same God who fed thousands with a few loaves and fish can still make a way where there seems to be no way. This does not mean life will magically become easy overnight, but it means you should never lose faith during hard seasons. Sometimes God teaches wisdom through lack. Sometimes he builds gratitude through struggle. Sometimes he opens unexpected doors at the perfect moment. Your current financial situation is not your permanent identity. Seasons change. Another dangerous trap many people fall into is seeking validation from humans instead of God. They want approval from everybody. They constantly worry about what others think. They change themselves just to fit in. But no matter how hard you try, you cannot please everyone. Even Jesus was criticized despite being perfect. So stop living your life controlled by other people's opinions. The world will always have opinions about you. Some people will misunderstand you no matter how pure your intentions are. Some people will judge you unfairly. Some people will doubt your dreams. But remember this carefully, God's opinion matters more than human opinions. If God says you are chosen, then you are chosen. If God says you are valuable, then you are valuable. There are people listening to this who secretly feel like failures. Maybe your plans did not work out. Maybe relationships ended. Maybe your career failed. Maybe you lost opportunities. Maybe life turned out differently than you imagined. But failure is not the end of your story unless you quit completely. Every successful person failed multiple times before succeeding. Failure teaches lessons success never could. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Moses failed, David failed, Peter failed, yet God still used them powerfully. Failure does not disqualify you from purpose. Sometimes failure redirects you towards something greater. And maybe right now your heart feels tired because you spent years carrying emotional wounds. Childhood pain, family trauma, broken trust, rejection, abandonment, harsh words spoken over your life. Many adults are still carrying pain from childhood without realizing it. Wounds left untreated eventually affect relationships, confidence, and peace. But Jesus heals broken hearts. Healing may not happen overnight, but God can restore what pain damaged. Do not spend your entire life pretending wounds do not exist. Bring your pain honestly before God. He already knows your heart anyway. Some people also feel spiritually distant from God right now. Maybe you used to pray more, maybe you used to feel close to Him, but life became busy, painful, distracting, or disappointing, and slowly your relationship with God weakened. But hear this carefully, God has not moved away from you. Sometimes we drift away without realizing it, yet God still waits patiently with open arms. Prayer does not need perfect words. God is not looking for impressive speeches, He wants honesty. Sometimes the most powerful prayer is simply, God, I need you. Even when you feel spiritually weak, keep praying. Even when you feel numb, keep seeking God. Relationships grow through consistency. There are moments in life where everything seems dark. You may not understand why certain things happened. You may not understand why certain prayers were unanswered. But one day many things will finally make sense. Sometimes God protects us through unanswered prayers. Sometimes what we wanted would have destroyed us later. Trusting God does not mean understanding everything immediately. Faith means trusting His wisdom even when life feels confusing. Right now, there are people listening who are one bad day away from quitting completely, but please hear this carefully before you give up. Your current pain is temporary, but quitting could destroy blessings you have not even seen yet. Some people quit one chapter before their breakthrough. Don't allow temporary darkness to make permanent decisions. Your story still matters. Your life still matters. There are still people you will inspire someday through the battles you survived. One day your testimony may save someone else from hopelessness. Pain often creates purpose. And remember this carefully, you survived every difficult day before this, every heartbreak, every painful night, every disappointment, every season where you thought you would not make it through. Somehow God carried you, and if He carried you before, He can carry you again. Maybe right now your faith feels weak. Maybe your motivation disappeared. Maybe you feel emotionally numb. But even weak faith can move mountains when placed in God's hands. A tiny seed eventually becomes a massive tree. Don't underestimate small beginnings. God is not finished with your life. Your future still contains purpose. Your future still contains healing. Your future still contains blessings you cannot yet imagine. The enemy wants you trapped in hopelessness because hopeless people stop fighting. But Jesus wants you to remember that impossible things become possible with God. So stand up again, pray again, trust again, dream again, believe again. Stop speaking negatively over your future. Stop calling yourself worthless. Stop believing lies planted by fear. You are loved more than you realize. You are stronger than you think. And with God beside you, you can survive storms that once looked impossible. One day you will look back at this painful season and realize something powerful. The pain did not destroy you. It transformed you. The struggle did not end your story. It prepared you. The tears were not wasted because God heard every single one of them. Dear Jesus, please give strength to every person listening right now. Heal broken hearts, calm anxious minds, bring peace to people fighting silent battles, restore hope to those who feel exhausted. Remind them that they are loved, chosen, valuable, and never alone. Help them trust you even during difficult seasons. Give them courage to continue moving forward. And remind them that with you, all things are possible. Amen.